A brand new Borderlands game is on the way. It isn't Borderlands 3, and I'm going to ask Matt Gilman from GamesMaster whether Borderlands fans will be pleased or disappointed with this news. I'm Matt from CVG, and we're here with a preview of Borderlands, the pre-sequel. So if we start off with the name, Matt,
right?
What's that all about?
So yes, it is not a sequel. It's not Borderlands 3. It's not a prequel. It's not set before Borderlands, the first game. It is set between those two games. It is Borderlands 1.5, but because it's after 2, it's the pre-sequel. It's a bizarre name, but it kind of makes sense, as much as it's horrible to say.
We'll go a little bit into the story in a second. Just to confirm, so it's being developed by 2K Australia with Gearbox overseeing, is that right?
That's right, yeah. 2K Australia essentially became free after they'd finished work on Bioshock Infinite. And so Gearbox approached them then, when they were kind of with their hands in their pockets, with nothing to do, saying, "Hey, why don't you tackle this for us?"
So you've actually sort of played the game and seen it in action. Can you tell us a little bit about the location where it takes place, that sort of detail?
Okay, so I haven't actually played the game myself. It was a very much a hands-off presentation, and we saw it being played. So it was about 15 minutes of gameplay. We managed to see quite a lot of the new mechanics in there, because obviously this isn't set on Pandora. This is set on the moon, the moon that you always see from this in the skybox of Borderlands 2. It takes place on that moon where there's very low gravity. There's all these new mechanics introduced. So it immediately looks like a very different game, and it looks like it plays like a very different game as well. The low gravity actually changes the way you would go about playing. So you have these longer jumps. You can flank enemies much easier just simply by jumping over them and flying over them. And there are other ways that they've played around with the idea of you being on the moon as well.
It sounds awesome, and looking at the footage as well, it's got, it still looks exactly like a Borderlands game. It has a very distinct feel of all of its own.
Yeah, it's the same engine. It's the same engine as Borderlands 2. So it seems like they've had much more leeway to build on what has already been there technologically, rather than have to kind of restructure things from a base level.
In terms of sort of the way it looks, a common criticism of something like Blood Dragon was that kind of the dark skies got a bit oppressive after a sort of long period of time. Did you get any sense of that at all when you were watching it, or you feel it's strong enough a world on its own to be fine?
When they were showing it, they were really at pains to stress that this, because the area we saw was it was very, very blue, lots of moon craters. They kept saying this isn't the only type of area you're going to see. You're going to see a much more variety. I mean, what we did see was that there were hints at other places that you'd be visiting. So there were these kind of fiery pits in the distance, or we were told that at one point you will be going inside the Hyperion space station, that massive H that you always see. So there are going to be different areas. It's not going to be very kind of bland, all the same the way through. But as to where exactly we're going to be going, they said there are hints that it might not all be on the moon, but who knows really what's going on. So we'll have to wait and see really how open that really goes. In
terms of what is going on, did you get any sense of the story while you were there?
Yeah, so being set between the two existing Borderlands games, it's you're essentially playing on the side of the bad guys this time around. Or are they bad, really? It's Handsome Jack from Borderlands 2 is your boss, essentially. The 4 new player characters work for him. They're his kind of lieutenants. And it's him starting out not necessarily as a bad guy, but we all know he's going to end up being one. So yeah, it's that kind of descent into the Handsome Jack that we know in Borderlands 2 that we get to see here.
And in terms of the new characters, what can you tell us about those if we go through them individually? So we start with, we've got Athena, who's the gladiator, is that right?
Yeah, so Athena was from the General Knox DLC. She's the one we saw the most of. She's the one that the person playing was playing as. The most arresting thing from a play point of view is we got to see her main skill, which is she has this energy shield, which is almost like Captain America style. She can charge up by absorbing damage from the front, and then she can lob it at enemies, and depending on how charged it is, it seems it can bounce between different enemies. So we saw like a gaggle of these lunatics charging towards her, and she would throw the shield, and it would bounce between all of them and take them all out at once, which was kind of cool. Yeah.
So, the other ones we've got are Wilhelm the Enforcer. I think we haven't sort of got footage of too many of these. The only one that perhaps we'll have seen before, like, or people will be really familiar with, is obviously Claptrap, which is quite a big deal. Did they tell you much about that?
Not a lot. We do know that there have been mixed messages as well, whether or not it's the Claptrap or not the Claptrap. But from what I understand, it is the Claptrap. It's the same Claptrap. It's the first Claptrap that you meet at the start of Borderlands 1, and it's the same Claptrap who is the last surviving Claptrap that you meet in Borderlands 2, but he's been rejiggered into this military-grade Claptrap. When you play as him, apparently the camera is actually low down as well.
Amazing.
So someone, I can't remember who, someone at the event kind of casually commented that it's like playing this Odd Job.
That's exactly what I was thinking, yeah.
But apparently he makes up for it in other ways, is what they were saying at the event.
And the other two we've got are Wilhelm the Enforcer and Nisham the Lawbringer. Did they tell you anything at all about those?
Not a lot about Nisham at all, except for the name Lawbringer. I mean, people will be familiar with the art that will be out there. She looks almost identical to the Sheriff of Lynchwood from Borderlands 2, so it's pretty clean cut that is who that is. But we didn't see how she's going to play as or anything like that. Wilhelm we saw a little bit. He was the co-op character that we saw being played with. He is the boss from the end of the line mission in Borderlands 2. But of course in Borderlands 2 he appears as a almost full... Well, he is a robot. But in the pre-sequel, he's saying, in the pre-sequel he is not yet a robot. He is a man. But throughout the course of the game you will be able to build him up into the robot that we see in Borderlands 2. So he'll slowly become less human throughout the game. Apparently, we're told. We haven't seen that, but...
That is an awesome twist. That's a brilliant way of doing it. So I think the big question, like from what you've seen, can you get any sense of this? Is this going to be enough for people that may have been waiting for Borderlands 3? Is it more than just DLC? Is it going to stand alone on its own?
Yeah, it's not DLC at all. It is a standalone game, and it looks quite sizable. There's a lot of new features in there which are genuinely exciting. So now, rather than just have a health and your shield meters in the bottom corner, you've also got an O2 meter. This will help charge your jetpack. You can double jump, you can glide. With the low gravity, it means you've got huge kind of jumps that you can make in the middle of combat. You've got new types of elemental weapons. There's a new cryo weapon which will freeze enemies, and those enemies can then be shattered just by walking through them. You've got this really cool ground pound skill, like a butt stomp. You when you're in midair, if you press the crouch button, you'll smash into the ground below you, and depending on the O2 kit that you have equipped, you can have different elemental effects as well. So you can have a cryo ground pound, so you can jump down onto the ground and freeze everyone nearby, ready for whoever's nearby to kind of take out, whoever's left standing, kind of thing. So there are lots of new features in here which make it very interesting. That said, it is disappointing that it's not going to be on next gen. I think that it's a shame that lots of people who will have traded in their consoles will have upgraded to next gen will be looking at this thinking, oh, come on, guys. Who knows? There's a PC version that you would imagine would be easier to kind of port on over to next gen. Hopefully that's what happens, but at the moment that's not what we're being told, so this is current gen only.
Okay, sounds interesting enough as it is, Matt. Thank you very much indeed. Borderlands, the pre-sequel, is out on PS3, Xbox 360 and PC towards the end of the year. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit like now, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos on Borderlands, the pre-sequel, as and when we get them. Thanks very much for watching.